Hey everybody, it's Ben from AGC, in for another Toolbox Talk here. Happy Friday. I hope everyone had a great week. We had a semi-busy week here at AGC. Richard is gone in Maine for what is it, Northeast? I think it's the Northeastern chapter meeting for AGC. I was in Virginia Beach getting my certification to teach the 4-hour ATSA flagging course. I passed, so I didn't go to Virginia Beach just to fail. Which is funny, because every time I say that, people are like, oh my God, you went to Virginia Beach? That's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool, except for the fact that my hotel was like 9 miles from the beach, and I'm only 24, so I can't rent a car. And an Uber is like $30 one way. So for $60, you can go 9 miles and walk the beach, which, not complaining. Seeing the beach was amazing, especially when it was 30 degrees when I woke up this morning. So 80-degree weather and some white sand and some nice beach was awesome. So I can't complain about that. Just a little annoying that I can't rent a car yet, which now thinking about it, I'm pretty sure, I don't know the age for a U-Haul, but that might be a way around it. You get a U-Haul truck instead of renting a car. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe U-Haul is also 25. I don't know. Anyway, I can teach 4-hour ATSA classes. I'm going to talk about flagging today. Just a few quick reminders. In order to flag in Vermont, you've got to take a 4-hour class. Vermont accepts 3 certifications. It says it right here in this big old book. Standard specifications for construction. In this big old book you have, you're not going to see it, but basically it says AGC, so us. You've got ATSA, which is what I just took, and then you've got your National Safety Council course, which we are also trainers for that as well. So we cover all 3 here. If you need anyone trained, it's a 4-hour course, and Vermont is it's a 2-year recert period. So you get 2 years, and then you've got a recert. So be thinking about that. If you are certified, make sure you check your date and make sure you don't lapse that cert for next year. I know it's winding down here as we're heading in towards winter, but do yourself a favor and check all your certifications in the next couple weeks. See what you're getting close to, because the sucky part about lapsing, not really as much as the flagger course, because the flagger course, it's 4 hours. You take it, you retest, you're done. But some of these other courses, like if you have like an ATSA, TCT or TCS, if you lapse on your recert period, honestly, actually, I don't know if TCT and TCS have a recert period. I gotta get back to you on that. Sorry, my mind is not there today. But anyway, if you have a cert that you have to recert for every couple of years, make sure you do it, because it's really annoying if you miss it and then have to take the class all over again instead of just taking the recert test, if that's available. Okay, now that that's out of the way. We've had a busy week. I got back from Virginia Beach, and then we went right to a sweet event at VTC or VSU, at their Randolph campus up in Randolph Center. It was hosted by Vermont Works for Women, called Women Can Do. Super fun event. I think there was around 450 people there. Bunch of other companies were there. It was an amazing day to see all the stuff they were offering in terms of what Vermont has to offer and what the trades have to offer. Sarah and I were there, as well as Christine from Cortland Construction. And we had the sim light out there, so our smaller simulator. It's got the VR headset and it mounts right to the desk, and it was super fun to see. You'll probably see a press release on it because we got a bunch of good pictures and videos. But it was awesome to see that in person, how it works, because that was our first career fair with it. So it was great to just see how that went and in the interaction that the students had with it. We couldn't ask for a better first trial run for that. It was a huge hit. Everyone loved it. And it was crazy for me to see how, I'd take someone who's never operated before, and within 5 minutes, just watching them go from like whacking the joysticks around to having a much better understanding of how to move them slowly and more precisely. And it was just cool to see some interest growing, once they hear about, their career path, what they can do with that, and all the different opportunities that the trades have to offer. So that was just super fun. But enough of that. I want to talk about flagging, and more specifically, I want to talk about emergency flagging instances, or in the MUTC they call it an unplanned event or a traffic incident. So basically they define it as any time you have an unplanned event happen and that calls for traffic control. So it's not going to be like a typical setup that you've planned a week out. It's going to be something like, I don't know, like maybe a random accident that clips into your work zone, or it's going to be a spill, or it's going to be a natural disaster, any of that stuff, which we all know in our industry, crazy stuff happens all the time. So we need to be ready for this, and I think there's some cool things that we can do to be prepared for this. One of which we have here, is, I'm not sure, we have all these MUTCs, which is amazing. I think everyone should have a MUTC in their car. It's not as confusing as the Osha book. There's really good pictures in these typicals that you can apply to basically any job you have. And the way this reads is a lot more reader friendly than some of these other spec books, like this Vermont spec book that I just held up. It's very reader friendly, which I enjoy it. So I think everyone should have a MUTC, which is the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices. This is a large one. For a while, AGC or us, we had a smaller, I'm looking around to see if I can find it, I can't. We had a smaller, like pocket size one that was perfect for your glove box. That's what I currently have in my car. So I think that's step one. You get one of these so you can basically be prepared to whip it out and say, how can I diffuse this situation or whatnot, or just if you have a question. Or what you can do is always you can download the PDF online. So I have the PDF if for some reason you have a hard time pulling it offline, because sometimes, I remember the first few times I went to download it, I was getting these errors. So if you have errors or you have a hard time downloading it, I have a full version. Just send me an email, ben@agcvt, and I can send you the PDF right away. You may say, like, why do I want the PDF? Honestly, you may think this sounds really lazy, but the PDF is nice because you can hit Control F, which is Control Find, and you can type in a keyword, and it will pull that sentence right up at the exact page, so you don't have to scroll or flip through if you don't remember the page number. So like just to find this stuff to talk about today, Control F, and then just wrote unplanned or incident, and it brought me right to the pages, which I then printed out. So the MUTC classifies, they have three types of incidents, right? They've got their major incident, their intermediate incident, and their minor incident. And all the changes are just the duration of how long that lasts. So their minor is anything under 30 minutes. Their intermediate is anything 30 minutes to 2 hours. And their major is anything more than 2 hours. That comes into play more on the regulations of what we're expected to do. But I just today want to talk about what you can do. Sorry, I'm out of frame. I want to talk about what you can do as an individual to better prepare yourself for any unplanned, is what they call it, or emergency circumstance where you're like, holy crap, we need traffic control right now. So, first thing, I just went over those, which was having your literature to make sure you're doing it correctly. The second thing Richard and I put together, you may have seen it. Forgive me, that was probably super loud. But Richard and I put together what we like to call an emergency traffic control kit or emergency flagger kit. So, no, it's not a firearm, but it looks like one. Open it up here. First thing we've got is you've got your Type 2 vest. As we know, the minimum requirement for your high vis on the roadway is a Type 2. And you know that by reading the tag. ANSI, Type 2. Perfect. So that's our minimum. of course, your minimum can always be jacked up and you can be required to do a type 3 per contract, whatever. I don't want to get into contract specs right now. So at the minimum, we need a class 2. We've got 2 walkie-talkies in here. Always a good idea to have communication. Walkie-talkies are the best form of communication. You can also do a flag or signal, so you can signal to the other person, which sometimes they'll see people use, like they'll lift their hard hat up, which is okay, but if you think about it on a really hot day, how many times have you taken your hard hat off to wipe your forehead? So it might get confusing there. And then of course they've got the token method, which really isn't used at all anymore, which is you hand like an object to the last driver, and then they hand it to the other flagger on their way out of the work zone. But I mean, the amount of times that can get stolen, or in these days, like any teenager or someone my age probably is taking that. Regardless, walkie-talkies are nice. You've got a wand in here. And then, what I think is super cool is, if I remember how to use it, it's like clips like this, and you go like this, is your emergency paddle, which is, this one is actually retro-reflective, which is nice. So your emergency paddle folds right down. I mean, you talk about not wanting to take up a bunch of space. This is super, super small. It fits right in that case, which can slide in the back of any truck. And then, just like that, we're in business, right? Look how easy that was. So that is, I feel like everyone should have at least one paddle on site for emergency circumstances. Now, just a quick refresher, right? We want to stop traffic. You always want to have the paddle in your right hand, arm up like you're swearing in, and you're stopping traffic, right? Time to release, you're going to spin, and you want to pat the dog on the way through, just like this. Now, maybe we're not completely stopping them, but we're slowing them to alert them that something has now happened on the roadway. So you want to keep slow, and you want to dribble the basketball. That's how I remember it. Dribble the basketball. Okay, now, that's pretty good for the paddle. We'll get this out of the way. But, as we all know, not as we all know, maybe not everyone knows. I didn't at first, probably because I'm younger. But, there is another device that was used. I say was, it's not as commonly used now. It's actually not really allowed to be used unless it is an unplanned event. So in this circumstance, you'd be allowed to use it. It is a flag. Now, I have to make do with this. This is not a legal flag. A legal flag is red, and it's 24 by 24, okay? I can't find ours. I looked all over the shop. I can't find it anywhere. So I made do with this orange flag that I don't feel like measuring, but it's definitely not to spec. So don't just use any old flag. You want a red flag that's 24 by 24. Now, I just had this conversation with Sarah because I thought it was kind of funny, but when I was learning these movements for the flag, I was thinking to myself, I just don't remember when I was taking my license test or driver's ed, them explaining, like a stop slow paddle is pretty easy to understand, right? And I don't remember them explaining the movements or signals of a flag. So I feel like at some point this might be confusing for the driver. But again, that's probably why it's only emergency use only. So let's say we're in emergency. We don't have a paddle. We have a flag. I will show you your directions or your road user directions, I guess. I don't know what you call it. I will show you your movements with the flag. So, first, right hand, closest to the road. Right hand up like you're swearing in, flag out, just like this. Now, we want to slow traffic. This hand goes into your pocket, and you go up and down like this. Make sure your arm, not like this, not like this. You got to go all stretched out all the way, 45, boom. And make sure your hand is in your pocket, because this is really confusing, right? We don't want to fly. You want to have your hand in your pocket, and you want to go, obviously with a bigger flag, it whips around easier, but you want to go up and down. And now to release, you want to drop this kind of by your side here, like this, and then same thing, pat the dog, have him come through. And remember, this is only used in an emergency event or emergency incident, which the MUTC describes as anything that's unplanned. This is just another paddle we had sitting around, another example, breaks down nice and small. Obviously this one is a lot harder to store than this one. But these are readily available online, and I truly think it's a really good idea to have one of those in the rig, because like I said earlier, everybody knows our industry is nothing goes to plan all the time, right? It's that we constantly have hiccups and we constantly have unplanned events that happen, and that's one of the reasons why I love this industry, is because you all are so good at being, where am I going with this? We're able to work off plan, and we're able to be accommodating when things don't go right. And I think that's awesome. So we need to move that into traffic control too, and we need to be prepared to, switch to an emergency event that might not have a written out traffic control plan, right? So hopefully these things I went over today will help you if you have to unfortunately run into this situation. But I think we need to be aware that, if we are affecting the road users, if we are affecting traffic flow in any of these incidents that I explained, like anything under 30 minutes is still technically you're affecting the flow of traffic. You need to be prepared to have some sort of emergency flagger set up. So again, make sure you're looking at your certs, because Vermont's every 2 years for your flagger card. So if you have employees, or if you're watching this as an employee, call the office, sign up. I know we've got some coming up. And check the calendar. We've got a bunch of other trainings. And I hope everyone had a great weekend. We're getting some nice cold weather coming in. And I am excited for snow to fall. As always, my name is Ben. I am a trainer in a workforce development. I'm a trainer and a workforce development employee. I don't even know what I'd call myself. I guess I'm the director of workforce and education is my official title. But jack of all trades. So if you ever need help and you want to reach out or just want to talk or have questions, give me a call. Our office number is 802-223-2374. Or email me at ben@agcvt.org. Again, if you need an online copy of the MUTC, a PDF, I know it was not downloading off the website that I was trying to get it from. So if you don't have one, please reach out. It's so easy for me to send it to you. And I hope you all are doing well. And until next time, thanks.